All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? This is Twin Flames Unite. Looks like the audio is coming in nice and clean. So beautiful today, ladies and gentlemen. We have some beautiful information to share because we know that a lot of you are waking up to the truth of what's really going on in your life, but there's some things that may be out of sorts.
Mhm.
And so we want to help in bringing some clarity to this journey and hopefully give you some awesome nuggets for you to go back through and do your own research for so that you can make this journey a little bit easier for yourself.
Exactly. And just some tips as to what to expect and what certain things might mean. Of course, you're going to put your own spin on things with your own uniqueness, but just on a broader perspective, we're just going to run down what usually take place in the early awakening stage.
Yes.
So this is why we call this one Spiritual Awakening 101. All the basics.
All right. Awesome. So we're gonna jump right into it so that we can provide you with this information, because just understand that yes, this is the basic information. It may not be as thrilling as some of the other stuff that we're going to get into, but we have to build a foundation.
Exactly.
The foundation has to be strong. All right, awesome. So let's get into it. Let's go. So spiritual awakening 101. 101, not 101. But anyway, all right. So the objective for today, hold on, is that not centered right? Give me just a second on here. It's not centered. Okay, cool beans. It just looked weird for a moment. Okay, never mind. I'm tripping. Okay, so objective for today is to give you a better understanding of this journey. Okay, we're going to start off by giving some of the symptoms for awakening, and then we're going to talk about some key terms, understanding some of the key milestones along the journey, as well as some skills to develop and some subjects to research.
Research.
Because we're all about research, because we want you all to be independent.
And empowered.
Yes. All right. So we're going to first start out with some of the symptoms of awakening. And what are some of the symptoms of awakening?
All right, so let's just dive right into it. So you're going to notice an increased tendency to let things happen rather than make them happen. So you're going to start, following your intuition and having this allowance energy. You're going to start noticing that. Frequent attacks of smiling. Gonna find a lot of things to smile about.
Gotta smile.
Feelings of being connected with others and nature. So you're really gonna be moving away from mundane things. You want to really explore more of the feminine energy, right? Frequent, overwhelming episodes of appreciation. So you're gonna start, because what's happening is most of the time when you're on your spiritual awakening path, you're raising your vibrations, right? So you can have frequent, overwhelming episodes of appreciation. A tendency to think and act spontaneously rather than from fears based on experience, okay?
Right.
So you're no longer going to be saying, oh, that happened to me last week, let me stay away from it. No, you're going to want to try crazy things, okay? Especially when you, or if you get into a twin flame dynamic union, so to speak, you will do a lot of spontaneous things, okay?
Yes, a lot of spontaneous things. Okay. Now, these are just some of the symptoms that come with awakening. Some of these may fit, some of them may not, but hey, some you may not have experienced yet. But one of the things that's kind of interesting is that there's a loss of ability to worry. At this point, it's like what Cat Williams said, you get a little bit of the effort in your system. Okay? And a loss of interest of conflict. Now, this is the one that is really key, because you start to lose the ability to want to argue. You're like, what is the point like it's a waste of energy.
Time, you
Yeah.
know, you really start looking for deeper meaning of things. You really want to enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be miserable anymore.
No.
You want to explore. All right. And then you have a loss of interest in interpreting the actions of others. So you're no longer trying to figure out why Susie did this or why did Mark do this.
Right.
You have your vibrating higher. So you really are not trying to partake in things that are like low vibrational anymore. Not that you're better. It's just that now you're on a different path.
Yeah. And speaking of low vibrational things, one of the other things is the loss of judging others and judging yourself.
Right.
Like that is just a major key. And then lastly, gaining the ability to love without expecting anything.
That's a big one.
Okay. Now, these are just some of the symptoms to let you know that you are awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you have experienced any of those things, or if you felt anything along that spectrum, then it's a good possibility that you're waking up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why you're here, because you are waking up and you want to make sure that you do this right this time. We're going to get into other lifetimes and other videos in later on, so stay tuned with
again,
us, okay?
this is 101.
All right. So let's get back into it. Let me switch this back over so y'all can see what's going on. And boom. So next. So there are some key terms, and with these key terms, these are just some basic things that you're going to come across. And with these, we're kind of going to hit these rather quickly, but you do have opportunities for screenshots if you want to do screenshots. All right. So, baby, would you do us the honors and read the first ones?
Absolutely. So here we go. Key terms. Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
This word gets thrown around quite a lot, right? Awakening. So an awakening is really an experience where the person suddenly realizes and or becomes aware of a part of him or herself that previously wasn't there before. Okay? Now, awareness. Awareness is the state of awareness about particular things. So you're now becoming more aware of things that it's been there already, but you're just really now paying attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
So mental and spiritual in one's life, okay? For example, the awareness of bad habits, the awareness of one's existence in the wide universe. So before you might have thought that, this planet is the only thing that exists in this entire cosmos, right? Then you started thinking about it some more. You're like, hold up, wait, that doesn't really make any sense. Okay. And then you're starting to be aware of habits that's no longer serving you. It's like you're outgrowing these habits.
Right.
So you're going to start becoming aware of loads of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's just part of it. So awareness and awakening, just keep those two terminologies in mind.
All right. And then for our next terminology, we just got a few of these because this is just some of the things that you may see along your journeys, just so you have just a basic understanding of what's going on. So the next two are enlightenment and divine.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about enlightenment, for like most Buddhas, enlightenment means the completion of suffering and the advancement of eternal tranquility. Now, that sounds all good and well, but we got a lot of us are not able to be Buddhists right now, okay, or monks or anything of that nature. But in other forms, enlightenment can mean a breakthrough, understanding knowledge of a particular topic, field of work, and have the required set of skills to better oneself and those around you with this knowledge. So you can be an enlightened electrician. You can be an enlightened physical therapist. When you have a certain understanding of things, then you can almost consider yourself enlightened in such a way.
Right.
But the next term is divine. Now, a divine deity, divine power, divine love, and divine understanding. Most commonly, these will be used to explain something within the content of pure love, pure understanding, and total purity over one's being. Okay? All right, so on the next terms, What are the next terms, baby?
All right, so we got some soul stuff for you. All right, so the first one is soul. So the word soul is often used to describe the essence of each individual human being. While as domesticated and conditioned society might believe that personality, character is the only way to define a person, soul is ultimately what makes each of us unique human beings. And that's pretty key to understand. All right, another one you're going to hear is healing. You're going to hear this a lot along your journey. Healing, okay? You're used to it.
Yeah, especially on the twin flame journey, you're going to need a lot of healing.
So it's a word that's used to associate many ranges of topics and to define many areas of spiritual interest. There are practices such as Reiki healing, a technique for doing energy healing from one human being to another. But there is also psychological healing. That's where most of your healing will come from, psychological healing, where we are in a state of healing trauma from the past. Healing means that we allow ourselves to give time for everything to fall back into place with grace and humanity. Or humility, sorry.
Yeah, humility. There you go. All right, and I think we just got a few more here. Another word that you're going to hear a lot is called practice. Some authors may use the word practice to explain or describe a particular spiritual practice that one can follow. For example, like a meditation practice, a yoga practice, or practicing of loving kindness and countless other things. So it's a bunch of different practices that can be done. But when it comes to the next one, which is meditation, this is one that if you followed us for quite some time, we are pretty big on, which is meditation. And meditation is an ancient practice of cultivating the stillness of the mind for the purpose of cultivating awareness, consciousness, and higher understanding about life. And this is actually one that we're going to be going more in detail with a little bit more into this video, but also in our webinar that we're doing about the finding yourself, connecting with yourself, building a relationship with self. Meditation is going to be a major key in building that relationship. Okay.
All right, so we have another one is shadow. You're going to hear that quite a bit. So the shadow side of ourselves is a part of us that we have a difficult time accepting. So all of the flaws that you don't like, all the things that you tuck away that you disassociate with, the more you tuck that away, the bigger and denser that shadow becomes, okay? So it's a part of us that tends to be negative, angry, impulsive, confused, temperamental, and so on, okay? The next one is self-development. Once you start really growing and wanting to grow and seeking, you're going to see this word a lot, self-development. A lot of spiritual terms begin with the word self, because the spiritual awakening is really about self, okay? Which basically means that you're coming back to refer to yourself, to your own life experience as an individual. Self-development is used when the author or a situation implies the requirement of necessity for self-development to be carried out. All right, so you're going to be doing a lot of that on your journey.
All right. And then lastly, one of the key terms that you're going to hear a lot is chakras, okay? Now, chakra is just a term used for the human energy points. Each of the energy centers hold vital life force called prana. Okay, prana is very, very key. You're going to need it. That's another term to look up on your own as well. Chakras can clog up and cause distress in parts of our emotional and our spiritual, but also in our physical bodies. While certain practices can be practiced to help keep your chakras cleansed. Now, one of the other terms, which you're pretty sure that you're already aware of, is the twin flame. Okay, those are going to be some other key terms that you've really heard a lot about, and we're going to be doing more videos in depth about twin flames as far as the history and things of that nature. But just understand that twin flames are essentially one soul that was split up that went off to experience different things. Now, there's a lot more to that story, but that's just the basics for right now, okay? But we're going to go way more in detail as we continue on, and we thank you so much for being here in the building with us as we go through all of this information, okay? All right. So now on to the next section, which is where we're going to be talking about certain milestones that you're going to experience along this journey. Because it is very important for you to understand where you are and where you want to go. Okay. So now one of the first milestones that you're going to run into, what's the first milestone, my love?
The first one, the awakening. Okay, so you have large quantities of energy begin to flood your system. The psychic centers are opened, usually quite abruptly. You can consider this like a kundalini, awakening, things
Dark
of that
night of the
nature.
soul.
Dark night of the soul. It happens abruptly and suddenly, okay? And suddenly you're feeling, sensing, seeing, or hearing things that you weren't aware of before. Your psychic senses are so much more acute. You may even begin having powerful spiritual experiences or sensations, and you'll feel more sensitive than usual. Okay. Now, this phase right here is pretty important. Could be detrimental also, depending on who you're surrounding yourself with. Okay. So you want to be very mindful when you're going through your first stages of awakening to surround yourself with positive individuals who will support you. And if you're around the regular mundane thinking person, who's really not spiritual, not talking about being religious, that's different.
Totally different.
Okay, so spirituality is a fish in the ocean. Religion is a fish in a bowl.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to surround yourself with other beings that's already had their awakening, or maybe it's in the process, so that some of these experiences you can share, start doing research, but definitely don't want to be around a lot of mundane energy when you're going through your awakening.
Yes. So yeah, just understand that just like in the beginning stages of a child being born, you want to protect it as much as possible.
Yeah, you don't want to go out and drink alcohol and smoke, Anyhow, those babies come out pretty strong. For the most part, it's not encouraged, right?
Right. Okay. Now, hold on. Moved one of my slides before I needed to move the slide. Give me a second. Let me get back. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now, on this next one, this is one of the other parts of the journey that you're going to get into, which is this is where the healing starts.
Yes.
A lot of times this can be triggered because of the twin flame dynamic not working out the way that you wanted to, or any type of relationship working out the way that you intended it to work out. But the purpose is to dislodge any blockages that stop that energy flowing smoothly straight through your system. And we're talking about energy. We're talking about that prana. We're talking about that your chakras, allowing the energy to flow through, giving you a pure connection to source. Because these connections are your connections to source. This is where you get a lot of your intuition. This is where the information comes from inside. It doesn't come from outside, it comes from inside.
Right.
But there are old emotions, heartbreaks, and traumas from past lifetimes that our soul needs to heal.
Yes.
Therefore, our psychic senses have been had to be so heightened so that we could tap into the information from our past lives and become aware of it.
Yes.
So this is something that we're actually going to be diving more into on our next session on Friday, which is healing trauma techniques, because there are a lot of things that are stored into us. I mean, it's different levels to this thing as far as the trauma that is experienced. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's definitely different levels to trauma, and so because it's different levels, they're treated, with different modalities. Different techniques are used depending on how severe, how deep, or the length of time you've been traumatized. Because some traumas, they really go into your nervous system. Some is really based in the subconscious, and some, you're not even aware of because, your body hid it so well. The brain is meant to protect you. That's what it does. It protects and serves you. So if something is is making you feel bad or hurt or ashamed, the shadow will take care of that for you. It'll be held there for you, and then you might not remember it, but it still doesn't mean that it's not having an effect on you.
Right.
But we'll go into that in more details in the upcoming class.